Hi, I'm Angela. I like anime. So anyway, let's talk about it. Obviously, from the title, you can tell this episode is about my roommate is a cat. Or like a more literal translation is my roommate is sometimes on my knees and sometimes on my head. Which I didn't know that was the title for a long time. And like all animes, I find this one has a particular story, right? So this was like ages ago. I was on TikTok and I saw like a clip of like the second or third episode, I think, of like this comedic thing that happens with like the main character and another character in the show, and I was like, that's actually quite funny. Let me watch it. And I first watched it maybe like a year ago, and I watched it in dub. Yeah, I watched it in dub, and I kind of forgot I watched it in dub because I went to rewatch it again, and I thought I watched it in sub, so I went to rewatch it in sub, and I was like, this feels different. This gives me a different energy, and I was like, oh wait, that's because the voices are different. It sounds like yeah. Anyway, um, I would highly recommend this anime, so I'm gonna do like a bit like my recommendation section. Then I'll be like spoilers for the next bit, and then I'll talk about like what I liked and what I didn't like about it. So basically, this short series is like 12 episodes long, and the source was a web manga, and I forgot to check, but like when I first watched it, I wanted to continue reading it, and like I couldn't find the rest of it. And maybe if I looked for it now, I could find it because maybe I just did lazy research last time. But like, there's not gonna be. I don't know. There could be a season two. It was made in 2019, like January 2019. It was released till March, like weekly. I'm guessing. It was made by the studio Zero G, who made Grand Blue. I feel like that's one of their most popular things they've made. I feel people know about Grand Blue, but they also made Dive, like exclamation point, exclamation point. And I don't know if this was just like a time era for like anime when like sports anime were popping off, or maybe it was just like sports anime were always doing really well. But yeah, this was in the era where like free and stuff was going mad. So actually no, it was a bit after. This was 2017. Free was a bit earlier than that actually. And then I remember Haikyuu, the first season came out in 2014, which is ages ago, like geez. But yeah, if I'm gonna keep going, basically the story is about a like introverted 23-year-old like man, who doesn't really like seeing people, hence the introverted people, and just like wants to stay inside most of the time. But then one day, after visiting his parents' grave, he meets this cat, and for some reason he decides to take the cat in, and then it's just about the story is generally just about his relationship with the cat and how that develops, and also like how his relationship with the cat invites like more people from the outside world to like come into his life and make it more exciting and different than it usually is. And an interesting thing that they did with this anime was they decided to have a like dual narrative. So like usually per episode, like the first half of the episode is about the main character Miyazaki Subaru, like talking about his life, and it's like first person narrated, and then in bits, and then the second half is again first person narrated but by his cat Haru, which I think is really interesting, and most of the comedic elements come from Haru the cat and what she like her misunderstandings about like what's going on. But another theme I really liked was the constant misunderstandings, and I've talked about how misunderstandings before like annoy me. But I think for this show, like since it's a weekly and since it's just a short anime, like most misunderstandings are solved pretty quickly, or they're just never solved. But it's not like it really impacts the story, the fact that it was never solved, because everyone's fine. But generally, I would say everyone, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's a banger, 12 episodes. Like, since it's been the Easter holidays, like, you could just spend, well, for me, you could, like, spend, like, literally half the day, like, just watching it, or even less than that. Like, you can speedrun it, but if you don't want to speedrun it, you can, like, still watch it really slowly. And in terms of genre, it is a comedy, slice of life, pets, and Iyashige, which I didn't know what that meant, so I had to search it. But an Iyashige like literally means like healing, or like having a healing effect on someone. And this genre of anime is usually for like stuff that is meant to like calm the reader, so sort of like slice of life stuff. Examples of this would be Gakkou and Babysitters and March Comes in Like a Lion. I really enjoyed Gakkou and Babysitters. Maybe this is just the genre for me, but maybe I'll do an episode about it because that was really fun to watch. The animation style, it's not exactly like a legendary, but it's clean. It's pretty good. I like it. And this manga is illustrated and written by Futatsuya. And the opening is done by Stoppinger's Cat and I didn't write that down, but somebody else. And it's called An Unknown World. I really like it. I have it on my playlist, but to be honest, I feel like I like most anime openings, besides from if it's just predictable. But yeah, this is too much of me trying to sell it. But yeah, just go and watch it if you haven't watched it already. Right. Yeah, spoilers from this part on out. I keep forgetting to say spoilers, and like the last 2 episodes I've forgotten to say like spoilers. But anyway, here's what I wrote. So the first episode opens with his parents' funeral and everybody like wondering if he'll be fine. He doesn't actually talk. The first thing he says at the beginning of the show is, "This world is full of annoyances," which instantly paints his character. You just know he doesn't really like people or like the outside world. And he's an author, which perfectly suits his personality because he doesn't actually have to like go out to like work. He can work from home like he does. And at the beginning of the story, he gets a new author who sounds like Zenitsu. I should literally check that, but I swear his voice actor is Zenitsu's voice actor for Demon Slayer, but I might be wrong. They might just have similar, but I'm not going to check that. I should check that. Maybe I'll check it later in the episode. I probably won't. But his editor is like trying to get him to like come outside and like be with him and do stuff, and he's just like, yeah, can you leave me alone? Like, I don't want to do that, which is fair enough. He has a choice to do what he wants. Then he goes to his parents' grave, and that's where he meets Haru, because she's like eats the offering that he gave to his parents, and for some reason he decides that he gets his new book idea from her, being like a story about a mystery cat, and he's all like, I'm gonna take you home. And I wrote down the themes of the story, and I think if I talk about the themes, then I'll cover most of the story while I go through. So some of the themes are regret, starting over, new friendships, or just like meeting new people and getting out of your shell. Regret comes in the form of, since his parents died, when I've never had somebody die like close to me, so I don't really know what it feels like to like mourn someone's loss or to really grieve. But one of the things that like is perpetuated in the story is the feeling of he feels regret that he never really he didn't really listen to his parents, or he didn't appreciate his parents like the way he wanted to, even though his parents were so supportive and encouraging of him and always wanted him to go on the trips with him, and he just kind of turned them down. So he feels regret about that, and throughout the bulk of this story, he wants to stop feeling regret, or Subaru wants to stop feeling regret for the things that happen now. So he's actively working to change like the way he responds and acts towards people, so that he doesn't feel as much regret in the future. We have starting over, because at the beginning of the story he's introverted, and at the end of the story he's still introverted. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like he's suddenly personality change, but he's open to starting a new life where he has people who support and love him in it. One of the things he says is like, if I reach out my hand, there will always be people who will like take it, which shows that how people shouldn't be afraid to like ask for help, or like just even want friends and like be involved with people. Like, even if you're introverted, doesn't mean you have to be on your own. You can have like a couple friends who are really important to you, which is what Subaru has. Then in the next couple episodes, you meet Hiroto, his childhood friend, who honestly I love him. See, I relate to him. He's like, except for I'm not the eldest of like four. There's 5 children and he's the eldest, so he has 4 younger siblings. That sounds like a nightmare. Personally, I feel for all you older siblings. Sorry that you have to take care of us younger siblings. I don't know what else to say to you, but yeah. But he doesn't seem to complain. He still seems pretty happy to look after all his younger siblings. And then there's an episode later on where he brings all his younger siblings to Subaru's house, and like Subaru's all like uncomfy and stuff like that. But he still like he isn't like disgusted by all the children. I don't know the thing. There's also a constant theme of misunderstanding in this story, like as Haru between Haru and Subaru, and between like Subaru and all the other people, because in the second episode, which is where I saw the TikTok from, you have that like iconic bit when Okami is all like, oh, what's the name? And then he's like, says his own name, and then she's like trying to find cat food, as if like he says his name instead of the cat's name, basically. And then it's like really embarrassing because he's like, now I'm so embarrassed. and stuff. Right. And then what else happened? There's also the thing with where his mom gets him the blue sweater and he doesn't like fully understand at that point, like what when he gets the sweater, he doesn't understand why his mom, he doesn't really understand people in some ways, but as he like starts to take care of Haru and he gets Haru a collar, like he starts to understand like the feeling of what it feels like to like get somebody a present and they like really enjoy it, or it looks nice on them, or they really like it. In my notes I literally wrote Okami, love her, because she's honestly so fun, she's so pretty, she's so nice. And then you have that bit where like they live in the same neighborhood and Okami's all like, oh, so you live here too, and then that's like after he went to the vet and he's all like, please help me, tell me how to bring Haru's weight down, and then he feels uncomfortable about like asking her even though she's not on work, and then she's all like, no, it's fine, I'll tell you what you need to do. And then he says in this bit, he's like, there are too many things I don't know. The more I learn, the more I realize that. And that resonated with me because what's the saying? Ignorance is bliss. Like, the more you learn, it almost feels like a burden, because sometimes you can go into, what's that, doom scrolling. That's what it feels like when you like go on social media and you go down like a rabbit hole of just all the bad stuff that's happening in the world, and then you feel like everything like is like you just, it's doom scroll, like you feel like it's the end. But like if you take yourself out of that and you just think that it's actually good that you know all this knowledge and you're not ignorant, then it's quite fun and interesting. And Subaru himself is like very he has a big imagination, which hence being an author, which I think is quite fun, because there's like lots of points in the show when his imagination gets the better of him, and it's quite funny because it creates like misunderstandings. Then you have like Haru the cat, her whole backstory, and how she was like also one of the oldest siblings in with her cat, and then she with the cats, and she has to look after all the weak ones because of that. One of the other street cats told her that you have to look after the weak, and then she still feels that sense of having to look after people when she's with Subaru, because he doesn't really take care of himself, like he forgets to eat, like he can overwork himself and stuff like that. So most of her side of the story is her being like, you need to take care of yourself, look after yourself, don't think about me too much. But and like there's a misunderstanding between that and especially because the whole thing with like Haru, she thought meant food, so she didn't realize that he actually cares about her. But as the story progresses, she starts to realize that like he's actually worried about her, like when she was to the vet. And I also think it's interesting how everybody has their own like perception of Haru and how they see her. So like somebody calls her scary, somebody calls her cute, and somebody calls her like cool, which shows that in a way we sort of project our own like ideas of what we think the pet is onto like the pet, whether it's true or not. And then we start to see Subaru change as like Haru, not Haru, Okami's keys get like stuck in Haru's claws, and instead of just like waiting for her to come back like she probably would have, he like picks Haru up and like runs towards Okami and is all like, but you forgot your keys, which like he wouldn't have never done like beforehand. And then like he gets to the, and then I think what's really cute is the naming system. Like Okami is called like Nana, so you have like, so her oldest cat is called Roku, then you have Nana, then you have Hachi, which is like, if you know Japanese, because I'm studying Japanese, it's really simple. It's just 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's all their names, which is quite cute. And then Haru meets Hachi, and they're like siblings, and we didn't know that, and it's quite cute because it's like she never thought she'd get to see him again, because like I think a bunch of her siblings died because they were stray cats before, and obviously it's hard to live on the streets. But she gets to see Hachi and she's like, wow, look at you, you've changed your fate, you found a family. And also Okami keeps stressing like the importance of family to Subaru, which comes back in the end because he's going to write a new book with the themes of family, right? Which I think is also quite nice, it's quite important. And then we have Yugo, her little brother, who's a sweetheart, and he's like massive, and not massive as in tall. And he's like a big person, but he has like also like a kind heart, you know what I mean? Like he's not like me, but like the first time him and Subaru meets, he like grabs Subaru by the collar and is all like, well, what's your relationship with my sister? Which Okay, I'm gonna ship it. I mean, it's too short. It's like 12 episodes, but I'm still gonna ship Okami and Subaru because who else? Like, I think I've talked about this in the last episode. I want to say when it's like you can tell in like shows and movies when like a ship is only a ship because that's the only guy there or that's the only girl there, so like they're just gonna have to they're just gonna have to end up together. But I don't feel like it felt like this in this story because Subaru is like independent but not really. He's like a grown man, but like he still doesn't really know how to take care of himself. But like when Okami's with him, she's not taking care of him. Like it's not like what's that, symbiotic relationship? I don't know if that was the right word there, but um, it felt like they were together because they wanted to be, not because like they had to be, or not because one of them was like looking after the other. You know what I mean? And she's not like there every single episode. Like she shows up every now and again, and it's quite fun when she shows up. I love when she shows up. It also shows that Subaru is not very good at communicating because when they're talking about how much they like the book that he wrote, but they don't know he wrote it, he kind of just like gets a bit flustered and leaves when he really meant to like thank them because he's never had somebody like talk about his book so nicely in front of him. So I really appreciate that because sometimes it's hard to communicate what you're actually feeling to people, and I think we can all also relate to that. But I think it's very important to know and analyze how we're feeling and why we're feeling it so that we can like work. If it's a bad feeling, then we can work to like stop it or like manage it. And if it's a good feeling, we can learn to appreciate it more and the people around us. Subaru also gets a chance to recommend a book to Hiroto's little sister, which I like because earlier he was talking about how much he like when he was little. You get a bunch of flashbacks when he's little. How much he loves books and just wanted people to read. And I get that. Like my only comparison to this is like movies and TV shows and like animes and like webtoons and all that jazz and games. Like I love suggesting and talking about games and anime and stuff like that to people, hence this podcast. But it gives me genuine joy when somebody like just listens to what I have to say about something, and if they go and watch it themselves and then they like come back to me and like talk to me about it, I'm like, oh, it's so you love that character too, I love them too, da, da, da. And even if they don't like it the same way I like it, it still gives room for discussion because then I can be like, oh, okay, what do you think about it, and like why do you think that, and then it might change my perspective, it might not change my perspective. Either way, it's still easy, it's still nice to hear their opinion on it because you don't want to just get a one-sided. You want to kind of know what people are feeling. I feel like that's a natural human thing. Then we see that he always sort of wanted to be a writer because he wrote the sequel to that book about the moon and the sun, which I think was quite cute, and Hiroto took it and read it to his little siblings, which showed that he had potential since when he was little, because if the story was that good. Then we get to the bit where the book signing, and it doesn't start off the way he wants it to, and I appreciate that as well. Like, I think I talked about this in my Kiki's Delivery Service episode, but like expectations versus reality, and I know that used to be like a meme back in the day, but honestly it's true. I feel like, I don't really know what he was expecting, but either way, it didn't start off good, but he stuck at it, like, and when he stuck at it, he got better at it, meaning that, like, he appreciated it more, when it, like, went well, and he got to see how all the people loved his book, and what they felt about it, and how it impacted their lives, which I like as well. I want one day to have a piece of, maybe work, or art, or food, or I don't know, or something I make or do, that impacts people positively, because that's something I want to do, but I don't know in what form, because I feel like there's so many things I could do. And then you get to see the bit where his parents have always supported his work, and good supportive parents, we love that. And then skip to a bit, I wrote this in like a box. I wrote, he realizes that at the end of the book signing, after he shouts thanks at Okami, he realizes that he wants to regret things less and thank people more. because I feel like that's a good thing. Like you only live you only live this life once, and you don't really want to go about your life like harboring regrets with you, because if you do, you're not really going to be happy. So I feel like more people should make an attempt to like just do things that they won't regret, like whether they're positive or don't do things that they won't, other way around, like I don't know, both ways. Like do things so you don't regret things, but also don't do things that you will regret. Stuff like that. Like say mean things to people and stuff like that. And do stuff. And then Subaru learns how to cook Haru's like favourite food that like Haru the little girl made Haru when she was a stray cat. So many Harus, sorry. And it shows how that he's like putting the effort to actually care and do something for somebody that he like appreciates. Then Yoga comes to apologize for like grabbing Subaru by the neck and being like, you're a weirdo, get away from my sister or whatever. And then I'm just getting towards the end. He goes to Tokushima, I think, the place his parents wanted. I can't remember whether they wanted to go there or whether they did go there, but either way, he goes there and like gets the blueberries, I think it was, that his mum wanted for the garden, and like sees a bunch of stuff that he knew that his mum would have wanted him to see. And it's kind of like he's getting his like final, I don't say closure, because grief mourning can go on for like as long as you need to, but it feels like he's kind of coming to terms with it more the more he like discovers about his parents, like when he found out about the tea set that his mum bought, that he got to use when all Subarus that he got to use when Hirato's like siblings and also the editor came over. He got to finally use the stuff that his mom wanted to use. She wanted to have a bunch of guests over, and he's kind of fulfilling that. And then the last line he says in the entire show is like, since I made a connection that day, I don't know what the last line, I don't know if this is the last line, it's just one of the last lines. Since I made a connection that day, my world has grown bigger, which shows that how like the domino effect, if that makes sense. Because it shows how like you never know really what's gonna take you where and why, and like how you're gonna end up there, and I think that's quite fun. Like you just never know. I mean, it could be for the better or for the worse, but nobody needs. Sorry, I knew it. Sorry, I was doing a little side check. Yeah, I knew it. The voice actor for Kawase is the voice actor for Zenitsu. He literally he is. I knew I had that. I mean, it's quite unique. Anyway, but sorry about that. So then you have the big climax. Like he says that like after the big climax when Haru goes missing and then they all go out into the rain to find Haru and stuff like that, right? He says that the connections he makes are really important and we shouldn't forget them, which also echoes Okami's repetition of family. Yeah. So in all, he decides to write a book at the end about family. I don't know what about family, but he just says family, and they kind of do. And then him and Haru are like they're talking. They're like thinking about each other, but it's like they're talking about each other, but like in their heads. So they're thinking about each other, talking, but in their heads. Anyway, and he's all like, yeah, when you're sad or when you can't be brave, and then she's all like, when you like cry and stuff like that. Like basically, I'll be there for you. The insert Friends intro. But yeah, which echoes the sentiment of a family. Like a family doesn't have to always be biological. A family, I wrote here, people, or in this case, a cat who looks after you and cares and looks out for you, and you help each other and you got each other's back. Like this is power of friendship type energy. And as much as it's a cliche, I do love themes of family and the power of friendship if it's done well. Like shonen has its place, I feel like, in most types of media, right? We shouldn't shut out shonen, but generally there's not really a plot to this. It's just kind of a slice of life, hence the genre, and everyday things. But I was smiling and laughing like the entire time I was watching it. And when I first watched it in dub as well, the dub is pretty good. Like, I feel like people need to stop hating on dub, guys. Like, I'm a mix watcher, and I do want to speak to some people one day who like purely watch sub because that's easier, or like purely watch dub because I know dub is also a way to make anime more accessible to people, because if you aren't as good at reading, or if you just want to put anime on in the background while you do something, or if like, you know how these days people get more used to like just even watching like American or British TV shows, or just like anything, you're just used to putting on the subtitles because it makes it clearer and easier to understand, right? Because especially if you mishear things or something like that, so subtitles and dub I feel like just make it more, it gives people the choice, and I enjoy that. But I also don't enjoy when people like bash. Nobody ever bashes sub. It's always the sub watchers who bash dub watchers. Like, chillax. There are some things though that I've watched both for. Like Psyche K, I've watched the sub and the dub. Demon Slayer, I only watched the movie in dub because my friends wanted to watch the movie in dub. And I mean, some instances I like it less, but I think I've talked about this before. If I'm watching like comedic anime, then I'll tend to watch it in dub, or if I'm just like, sometimes I'm just in the mood for a dub, sometimes I can't be asked to read, which is why I like the choice. But either way, I'm learning Japanese, so maybe one day I won't even need the subtitles. Yeah. I don't know. I think this is about it. I wonder one day, I think I might do some episodes about really random stuff. Like maybe I'll just talk about like my Japanese learning story, like why I chose to do it and how it's going and stuff like that. Maybe I'll choose to... I've been playing Amori recently, so I might do an episode about the Amori law, because I've been bothering my friends talking about it, so maybe I'll do a podcast episode about it. I'm rewatching Vincenzo right now. It's a banger. I knew it was a banger. I was just like, I'm crocheting this scarf, so I was just like, let me crochet and rewatch this at the same time, because I feel like that would have been something fun to do, and it is fun. It's bringing me back so many memories. It's such a banger. So maybe I'll pick a K-drama one day and do an episode about that. I mean, I've done a donghua. I just want this podcast to be generally like a place where I can just talk about anything really that comes to mind. Not necessarily like media wise, unless it's like a new... Oh yeah, Spy X Family. I'm recording this on a Saturday. Spy X Family's coming out, another episode. Episode 3 is coming out today, so you can probably tell what day I filmed this on, but nobody really cares that much. Someone's doing their research to find that out. But yeah, Spy X Family's doing bits. So good. I knew about it before the anime was like... before the anime came out, because people were talking about it. But I was like, I enjoy watching, for stuff that's like popular, I enjoy just like watching the anime when it comes out, so I just waited until the anime came out. And then I know most times animes are made to like sell manga volumes, but I really enjoy it, so I might end up buying the manga, but it might be difficult now that the anime's out, so it's really popular now. I don't know what season of Love is War it is now, but I started watching that because I heard it was back. And what else is there? I just finished my badminton anime. I was alright. So, that was Rayman's Battery. Maybe I'll make an episode about that. Because I do like making episodes about 12 episode stuff. What else is weekly? I swear there's something else. Dunno. This Easter I've rewatched so many things. I rewatched like bits of Dr. Stone, The Millionaire Detective, My Roommate is a Cat. I did more stuff. I have some Studio Ghibli movies, so Kiki's Delivery Service, House Moving Castle. I don't know. I just haven't. The only new stuff I've watched is like Nana, and don't watch anything else new. I think I'm just watching the weeklies. Nana was pretty good, but I mean the ending, guys. If you know, you know. It was just a bit. But yeah, I'm just rambling now. I just wanted to talk about like life in general, because I'm gonna get busy soon. I said this last episode, but GCSEs are getting close, so I should probably, I might have to pre-record some episodes and release them when it's appropriate, so they might not, so by the time this comes out, it's not relevant now because this anime came out in 2019, but either way, I enjoy making these episodes, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's a bit long, a bit of a rant, but I still have fun talking about themes. It's giving me GCSE English vibes, but it's alright. Alright, I need to come up with a better outro, but like, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye, guys.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.